Welcome to episode 4 of ColLABorate series. We are super excited to have everybody join us today. I'm your host, Mahogany Jones, and look forward to diving into today's topic. Today's topic is all about that secret sauce and leveraging our competitive advantage. I am super grateful to have, I'll call them rock stars. I mean, for lack of a better term, we have two rock stars here joining us today to really dive into the topic. Now, first up, we have Adam Perry. He is the co founder and editor of the event industry's global online magazine, Event Industry News. In his role as an avid event technologist and an avid technology enthusiast, Adam combined his 10 plus years of event industry experience with his passion for the latest tech trends to co create Event Tech Live London. Shout out for those of you joining us in November. And then Event Tech Live Las Vegas for all of you joining us next year, April. We're looking forward to seeing you there. Adam is also one of the co-organizers of the Sustainable Event Awards and the Sustainable Breakfast Briefing, which promotes sustainable events and experiences. Also up on the docket today, we have Amani Roberts. Amani is a Washington, D.C. born and bred creative, graduate of Howard University. Shout out to our Howard alumni he has been a DJ since 2008. He currently lives in Los Angeles and is the chief musical curator for his entertainment and production company, The Amani Experience. For those of you who don't follow Amani, please make sure that you do check out all of the socials to see all of the fun stuff he is up to. He is a partnered streamer on Twitch and produces 4 different live streaming shows weekly. Amani has produced remixes of numerous popular artists and hosts a weekly podcast called the Amani Experience Podcast, where he interviews creative professionals from all over the world about why they took the leap from corporate life to creative life. If ever you have questions on business and going from a corporate to creative, I feel like I have called Amani myself with these kinds of questions. He is a wealth of knowledge. Amani recently graduated from Berklee College of Music with a Master's of Music Business in December of 2021 and was also named Meeting Professionals International's 50 Up-and-Coming Event Professionals. And he also has a book, DJs Mean Business, One Night Behind the Turntables Can Spin Your Company's Success, which we might have to give a few copies because I actually purchased it for a couple of DJs. I feel like it's a must-have in your arsenal. Welcome, gentlemen, to today's episode.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, Mahogany.
That was a very long-winded introduction, but I
done,
really
well
wanted
done.
people to understand the kind of partners that we work with, and I honestly feel truly privileged to be able to work with each of you. I know our team speaks highly of you. Mom Joy is also in the chat. She adores both of you, so it's always fun to have the hot people in the hot seat. So
Awesome.
let us start with a very simple question. What is your definition of secret sauce? And what do you consider to be your brand's secret sauce? Why don't we start with you, Adam?
Oh, it is such an interesting question. My secret sauce, I would say, is a genuine interest in every person that I meet. A long time ago, they never judge a book by its cover. I know that's an old saying and an old adage, but there is so much truth in that. And until you really get to know somebody and really get into their mind and what they're passionate about and what they believe in and what they love, you never really know a person truly. And I think that's often missed because we're very much of the social media world and the era at this moment where we take things at very much face value and what people say online or how they maybe portray themselves and things like that. But I think the secret sauce that I have always had is really getting to know people on a one-to-one basis. And the events industry is great for that, obviously, because it brings people together, like-minded, and in a room and then forces people to get to know each other. But I often think that's something that's missing a little bit now from the way that people interact with each other, that actual desire to really get to know somebody truly and deeply.
What about you, Amani?
I would say my definition of secret sauce would be like the unique characteristics, skills, and abilities that a person or individual or business has that sets them apart from any kind of competitor. That's kind of my definition. And then for me, my personal, with my business and myself, kind of secret sauce is just a combination of being like um, world class DJ that's DJ internationally, a professor at a major university in California, and then someone who grew up in hospitality. I think those three characteristics for me personally make up my secret sauce. And then you add on, sprinkle a bunch of creativity. And personally, that's what I think helps to set me apart from any competitors or other colleagues in the industry.
Love it. I feel like when it comes to secret sauce, a lot of times we're always looking for something that isn't necessarily different or doesn't necessarily make up kind of our own DNA. I feel like we're constantly on this struggle. I can only speak for myself as an event planner and producer. I feel like we always think that our secret sauce is the company we represent, or our secret sauce is kind of what we put into the industry. But I'd love to challenge everyone today. I mean, we have a lot of followers who are planners and in-house producers who adopt the secret sauce of the company they're working for, the hotel they represent, the brand they represent. And I'd love to see if we could challenge each other to actually own our own secret sauce. I know for me, I hid behind what I felt would be my secret sauce for years and didn't even step into it. It wasn't until I was challenged by friends in the industry to actually embrace the fact that I've been producing hybrid events for years. My secret sauce has always been I was never afraid to embrace technology and have event technology work for me. I would say I was actually the outcast of the
Mm.
event planner community for years because I embraced technology. I loved calling the show. I sat at the tech table with the tech guys because that is where I was more comfortable. I also liked lighting way more than I liked centerpieces. So it just became this ongoing conversation and almost debate as to where you live in this event planner landscape.
The ruckus maker, the
Ruckus.
maverick.
Yeah, step into it though. Step into it. I love that. I love that.
And I love that I wasn't I will say I totally hid behind it for years and I didn't step into my own shine, we'll say, for a long time for fear of the backlash, or tooting our own horn. But truth be told, our secret sauce is really what helps us stand out in a crowded marketplace. It helps us to also stick in our own lane. What would you
I,
say? I was going to say, go ahead, Adam. I know you have something to add.
I would say to that though that great companies are their people and therefore are an array or combination of everybody's secret sauce in that company.
Mm,
Because I'm a true believer in people by people. Like
absolutely.
the relationship with a person will exist way after maybe the relationship with the company has ended. That's often what happens in the events industry, right? People follow people with companies. I'm sure you had it, Mahogany, when you went out on your own with event specialists. But then your secret sauce also is now the secret sauce of everybody that maybe works for you. And maybe you
That's right.
absorb and adopt things from them as well. So I think great companies are that combination of the individuals and everybody's secret sauce within them.
And I love that you can add your secret sauce to the company. It doesn't have to just be like a one and done. What would
Mm-hmm.
you say are some of the misconceptions people have about focusing in on their secret sauce?
I would say like if you focus on your secret sauce, like some people feel that that would prevent them or limit the type of business that they can acquire or people that they can work with. But actually, it helps you kind of niche down in what you're best at, and then it will allow your people to find you, like your tribe, as they say, will find you. So I think that's one misconception that comes to mind right away.
I'd have
What
to
about you,
agree.
Adam?
And I think typically the modern world expects everybody to be great at everything, every single thing, right? Be overachievers in every aspect of their work and personal life. And if they're not winning at everything, they're failing at life or at something. And I think actually, as Amani said, it's actually kind of really figuring out where you best fit and what you're passionate about and what you're really good at, because those two are often very, very closely intertwined. I'm sure Amani is great at what he does because of his passion and love for music and the industry and DJing and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes you have to realize that in order to really grow that secret sauce in that area, you do have to leave some other things behind, or even find tools or solutions or people that can help support you do those things well. And I've had to do that within our business. Is kind of go, right, I'm great at this, I'm great at that, and I'm not great at that. So let's find some great people to help support me in doing that well. So I think it's not actually doubling down on that and trying to do lots of different things well instead of one thing or two things great.
Love it. Now, I've been checking the comments that we're having on social media. So if you're following us on LinkedIn, I know they're still working to get the stream up on LinkedIn. But those of you that are on the website or on Facebook, don't hesitate to chime in. We will take questions and comments. And I know, Amani, to talk about how impressive your bio is, which is exceptional. I will say we talked about bad bios earlier today.
Yes,
but
we did.
These two did not have bad bios.
Oh no, I feel now I need to up my bio game after seeing
No, don't do it.
Yours is fantastic too, Adam, which is why we all requested you. Next question. So how do you feel your brand and audience have evolved over the years? Let's start with you, Adam.
Oh, how my brand and audience, did I hear that correctly?
That is correct. Brand and audience.
Okay, so I guess I'm known to be the tech guy, right? Whether that's the tech geek or the tech evangelist, as my bio says. But I actually started out in the festival and outdoor space, so that's where I was originally known. But my passion for technology has led me down that path. So I guess that has now become my brand, to the tech specialist or the event tech specialist. And my audience has evolved with that. It's much more people that are also interested in what technology can do for our industry as planners, for our event businesses. And that audience has evolved. But what I've realized about that audience is, unlike the festival and outdoor industry, which was quite, what's the word, niche, and it was a very small community that ran that side of the events industry, technology is actually quite broad, and it hits the keys with many different people in the industry, whether that's business owners, event technologists, AV providers, suppliers, people like yourself, Mahogany, and the event specialist team. So I think I've really found my tribe there, and really found like-minded people who believe in technology and don't see it as a threat. So yeah, maybe that's how things have evolved over the years of me being in the sector.
Love that. What about you, Amani?
I think that for me, I started just as a DJ, just DJing events in a bar, maybe clubs. And then I was able to kind of grow and do a lot of corporate events. I prefer doing corporate events because that's what I excel at. And just really being humble enough to realize when something is not working, and then being attentive enough to realize when something is working so you can kind of step into that. So then I kept kind of growing, doing bigger and bigger social corporate events. Then we went to like the pandemic time. I started live streaming what we're doing now. And that's where I discovered like hosting, creating game shows, which is something I love and I've begin to acquire more expertise. But that in essence has helped my MC abilities. So I think it's just recognizing different opportunities that are around you, stepping into it, trying out things, being able to realize when things aren't working, but then also being able to recognize when things are working and take that and run with it. Also, I'm always like a fan of education. So continuing to learn, take classes. I mean, I went to graduate school, but you can still take certifications. And I think that is kind of what's allowed me to continue to evolve. My business and company continue to evolve because we're very, very different than how we were when I first started almost 15 years ago.
Let's lean into that a little bit. Adam said just a festival producer. Amani said just a DJ. I used to say just an event planner. When we talk about secret sauce, I mean, one question did come in from the audience at how do you blend secret sauce with my companies so that neither of us lose our flavor? Let's dive into that, because we all said we were just something, but yet combined, we brought a whole different level of competitive advantage to the audience. I know for me, I was never afraid to collaborate with others who had a sauce that would allow me to do more, but it wasn't always that way. So when we say just a, how would you lean into that?
You know what, you're probably right. We probably just all naturally downplay things, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
we
I
do.
don't know. I'm not speaking for everybody in the room here, but that is definitely a British thing. Um, and I guess it comes. Hopefully, it comes from a place of humbleness, because there's so many people that I look up to and I see doing amazing things. I mean, like I said, Amani's bio, I was like, wow, I need to go back to school and do further education and get a degree, get the decks out and start spinning some discs and stuff again. But maybe that's what makes us great people, because we do absorb or have an affinity with people that are doing so much that it inspires us to do more as well.
Love it.
Um, yeah, so I think we do play it down a little bit. And to the other question of how do you blend your secret sauce with a company secret sauce, I think a great thing a company can do is actually have very clearly outlined what their beliefs are and what their mission is. So many companies don't. If you ask companies like, what do you exist for? Obviously, it's revenue, and there's a CEO or investors or whatever running the
Mhm.
company. But like, what is the mission of the company? That often is a great way for people to realize if they align with that company before they even start working for them. And does their secret sauce blend with that? And be very open about. I think too many people aren't open with their company about what they're passionate about or what they want to do, because they often feel that that might actually be a risk to their current
Fair.
employment or their current role, rather than being given the opportunity to actually develop their own role and be a benefit to the business where they might not have seen it before.
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of times we hide our secret sauce in the corporate
Yeah.
environment because they're just worried that, they have strict rules. We have to kind of stay in our boxes. But you'll notice the most successful companies nowadays allow their associates, employees a little, a good amount of creativity so that whatever they're skilled at can come, that can come out in what the work is doing. And so I would say to Roseanne, who asked about that, just definitely see what opportunities you have within your company that allows you to show your secret sauce. And then, hopefully they will let you kind of do that because they will benefit from it in the long run. You would be even more happy, for lack of a better word. And you both, between yourself and the company, should step into that because that will increase the value that you're providing for any customers you may have.
I love that. So amongst a competitive market like the entertainment industry, we're going back to you, Amani.
Yes.
How do you consolidate, or I won't say consolidate, how do we protect your name? And then what are the key steps in kind of growing in that process? Like, how do you protect yourself in this
Yeah.
slew of entertainment?
Yeah, there's a lot of entertainers. There's a lot of DJs. There's phenomenal DJs out there. There's so many that it's really challenging to kind of make a name for yourself, so to speak. But I feel that for me personally, there's not very many entertainment companies that have my type of experience with working in the hospitality industry, at a hotel for almost 20 years, for going to a professional DJ school, for getting the master's in music business, and then also for being a professor. Like that gives me a very unique perspective and the ability to match clients' needs, be able to read the room. So that's kind of how I use my education and professor job to really distinguish myself. Also, an author. So that helps. And then just continuing to kind of dig for music. There's certain specific genres that I really kind of lean into, step into. That's another way to differentiate my ability to use technology in addition to a lot of the technology we have to use for DJing, whether it be the mixer, the turntable, the virtual needles, but then the live streaming capability, being able to kind of manage, mixing songs for 3, 4, 5 hours, managing the chat, being your own producer, camera,
Mhm.
sound person. Like there's a lot of skills. So I think that whole kind of summary is what allows me in the entertainment industry to kind of, stand out.
And what about you, Adam? Now, if we look at Event Tech Live, or even event industry news as sort of like standalone products per
Mhm.
se, um, how did you make sure you protected your name and kind of continue to stand out in that crowd?
So with event industry news, we were at a time where we were going to do something different to what was traditionally accepted as the way to deliver news and media to the industry, which was a print magazine, right? And what I discussed and shared my ideas on at the time was that as an industry, we are very rarely in an office waiting for a magazine to land on our doorstep to be able to pick that up and spend 5 minutes or maybe even longer reading through every article and hopefully taking something away from that. For me, we're constantly on the road, we're constantly moving. People are in fields, in venues, traveling all around the world. And it seemed like a really inefficient way to deliver news and educate yourself as an event professional on what was happening in the sector. So that's why we pushed that, and we were recognized for that and grew quite quickly for that, because we made our news and content really accessible and often, and actually, I believe, changed the way that many of the publications in our industry deliver news. They seem to follow us quite quickly. With Event Tech Live, we believed in an idea, and we got told by many people that there was no such event to ever be had as an event tech event, because that was just such a small niche part of the sector. And to be quite honest with you, we could have quite easily gone down the route of a general event industry show, right? Something that has venues and caterers and producers and DJs and acts and so many other of the great suppliers and providers that we see in our sector. And to this day, there are so many of those customers that we service on Event Industry News that we don't sell an event product to. But I believe that's the success of Event Tech Live, is its laser focus and our sheer determination to ensure that every ounce of effort and focus when it came to delivering a great event experience went into supporting that event technology sphere. Now, there are many events that have caught onto the idea that event technology is a key part of the sector, and I'm glad to see them helping support event technology companies have a presence at shows like BizBash Connect and IMEX and other trade shows and other events around the world. But we are known as Tier 1, especially here in the UK and Europe, and not too long will be the same in the North American market. I'm quite positive of that. Because what we do is we support the goals of everybody in the room on that mission. There is no distractions. There are no chocolate fountains to see. There are no other things. And everybody in the room is there, is like-minded. And that's what has helped build a community around Event Tech Live that's so strong and solid, because everybody's there on the same path and the same shared experience. But yeah, it would have been quite easy to veer off of that trajectory and kind of try and do all things to all men and women with an event. And I think that's what helped us.
I love that, because I know we're seeing it at all of the shows. They're adding event tech spaces or adding event tech vendors. Can we just stop putting us in the back? I will just
a
minor
little
dig on that one. We end up in the back row, event tech and producers, but
a little secret. I'm currently being asked to consult for a very large trade show on their technology zone and content. And that's very humbling. Don't get me wrong. It's great to see, and I'm happy to help. Because I believe in, outside of my event, if we can help others in other regions that don't get to my event and those companies expand and stuff, that's all good for our sector. But yeah, we very much put in the back of the room in the corner.
I feel like we're that afterthought, the same as before the hybrid became a thing. We were the afterthought. So I feel like that secret sauce is how we can leverage that, using your ideas, and the way you approach your show can be approached to others. So let's actually talk about that. How do we leverage and actually borrow the secret sauce of others to enhance our own visions and expectations? I can tell you totally how I've done it, but
dude, I want to hear what you've done.
Yeah, why don't you share first and then we'll add after you? How about that?
All right. So for me, what I found, and secret sauce is actually, in full disclosure, I actually didn't understand the secret sauce. I always viewed it as like your brand identity and your own thing. It wasn't until our good friend Dahlia said, "What is your secret sauce?" And she challenged me one time, and she literally said, "MJ." And again, she's the only person that actually calls me MJ, but now other people do. She said, "MJ, what is your secret sauce?" And I was like, well, I don't know. Like the stress, the stress sets in. I was like, I was told I'm not a great producer. I'm told I'm not a great event planner. I'm told to stop talking about technology because I'm going to cannibalize budgets. Like I'm told all of these things. And I was like, well, I don't know what my secret sauce is, but I know I want to partner with people like you and your secret sauce because you bring a different sense of, I'll call it collaboration. And I felt like Dahlia as the connector was when I first realized that you can leverage secret sauce to help yourself grow. I also then met other people, and I will say this, Deshawn Wynn from Winning Touch, who has now joined us as part of our team. Her secret sauce was always in the planning details. Like she's a phenomenal planner. And I always tell her, and I continue to say this, she's the planner that I expected myself to be, but no, I will never become. But
Nice.
yes, I own a planning and production company, but I actually don't care for the details. Like my preference is in the production side. I should have owned an AV company. Like we've heard me say this 1,000 times, but that is when I realized when you partner with others who can clearly identify their secret sauce, it allows us all to do better and to do more. If I look at people like Tess Vismel, who also joined our team to help bring this sense of concierge and camaraderie to our events, and this white glove service that we'll call it, that I didn't even know could continuously exist. That is where I was like, well, I need that in my life too. And again, start to stack these secret sauces together, which in essence is how we've been able to build up event specialists today. It isn't just me, it is being able to leverage others and also collaborate more, hence the series being called ColLABorate, but to bring us all together to showcase our own secret sauce in a way that makes a beautiful pot. So
Love it. Love it. Shout out to Deshawn, who served on my MPI Southern California board, and she's still on the board. So shout out to her. Appreciate that.
yay, Deshawn. And the rest. So what would you say? How would you leverage the secret sauce of others? And I don't
Sligo?
think there's anything wrong with that. I feel like that sounds like we're doing something wrong. And I feel like giving kudos where kudos is due. I feel like we as much as we hide behind our own accomplishments and things like that, I feel like we also hide behind that of others and are afraid to just ask for help or are afraid to work with others. Collaboration doesn't mean you're giving up a part of you. It means you are going to work together to make something better.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
you don't like it, it's too bad.
I think for me, in some ways, being open-minded to other people's ideas and opinions, even if they challenge your own core beliefs and ethos, right? Because for me, and that's part of me continually, and it sounds like everybody in the room continually tries to educate themselves on everything in the industry and everything outside of the industry, is I don't believe you can really add to your own secret sauce unless you kind of have that open-mindedness and that way of thinking about other people, in that maybe they do have a different opinion to me. Maybe it's not valid. Maybe I don't agree with it, but maybe it actually changes my mind and then sets me on a new direction or adds another string to my bow that allows me to be a better person. And I've had that experience over the years in sales, in finance, in operations, in marketing, in event design, and all those other things. But then I think there's different layers of secret sauce. So I think there's the people that you engage with, or people that you engage with content like this, and you take some secret sauce away from everybody that's on there. Then you have people that you engage with on a one-to-one basis that are suppliers or people that you meet at events, and then you take a little bit with it. But then there's the trusted circle. The trusted circle could be, I'm going to give a shout out to the EWDs. The EWDs
Same
for
group
me,
that won't let me in, but we'll just let that
that's true.
shout out.
I'm not going to explain what the EWDs, but they are a trusted group of people. And the secret sauce I have and be able to take away from those is that is a safe space for me to truly share my opinions and ideas in a world that will quite quickly give you quite big backlash if you share that online or in social media. So it's like a safety testing pool, a place that you can be safe and open and kind of go, this is what I think. Am I right? Am I wrong? What does everybody else think? Or share new ideas in the way that we might want to produce an event or incorporate something into design and stuff. And that safe space is also a place I get true feedback. Like, again, nobody's looking to save my ego or my my feelings or anything like that. They'll tell me that's a great idea, that's a bad idea, or maybe if you thought about it this way. And I think so that for me is the way that, like, it's different for different people and different ways that you engage. That's the way that I see it, at least, anyway.
I love that. All right. So what are some of the steps that you would take to position your product or service as the best in the market?
For this one, I think we can start about tactical, and then we can kind of get to it to more macro view. Like for me personally, when I answer that question about my business, definitely making sure you have the necessary video content that's there. Let's make sure that you're necessarily you do speaking at different conferences to show that you're a thought leader. I think the key is to establish yourself as a thought leader in your space, because then that will help your business and what you're providing rise to the top. And that's kind of been my personal plan to kind of continue to work through. And I think that's very effective for me. And I think that other people, if they were to take a similar route, would find success sooner than later.
I like that. What about you, Adam? Anything to add?
Yeah, I guess for me, there's a couple of different things. It's in the name: preparation and planning. Without good preparation and good planning, you're set up to fail. Especially in the world where we have a hard go and a hard stop. Right, we can't push the event back for 3 days just because we missed something on the plan. And a little bit of risk taking as well. A little bit of risk taking never hurt anybody. You don't have to risk the whole event, but maybe you can play around with 5-10% of something and try and wow something or do something new. And hey, if it doesn't work, it's not ruined the event, it's not trashed it. You try and refine it maybe for next year, or you drop it altogether. But people want new, but they also want they want 95% what they know, but they also want something new every single time I think they engage with your event or your experience and stuff. But for me, the biggest thing that comes down to the quality of what we do is how others speak about what we do and their experiences. So the testimonial is the biggest reference of quality of what anybody ever does, I think.
I love that. All right. So how can focusing on your secret sauce create loyal customer base in contrast with competitors that offer a variety of products and services? I mean, I think you talked about it a little bit, Adam, when you talked about the other shows. You could have been the be-all event show to everybody with a sprinkle of event tech.
We are the Ferrari of event tech, not the Toyota.
Oh.
That's the way that I look at it. We do one thing very well. Others do things really well, but lots of them, they're not sports. They're not supercars, though. Maybe actually, has Toyota got a supercar? Let me just think about
it. I like Ferraris there. I would agree. Like, definitely niching down so that you definitely know if you want this type of DJ for this type of event. Like, that's why corporate events is such my focus. Like, you want to call Monty because he can execute it, make it happen. Is flexible, thinks on the spot, also can MC, moderate. Like, that's a very unique combination that I've proven to be able to do. So you'll call him and you can not only get a moderator, but you can also get a DJ, someone who, can rock your closing party, but also play the walk-up music and be the voice of God. So I think just what, Adam said, just really focus on what you do the best and just stick with that. It might take a little longer, but on the long route, you'll have more success.
I like it. Let's see. So what would you recommend to companies that have seen a decrease in conversion numbers? Like, how can they take a step back to analyze their brand and identity that can be used as a competitive advantage? I feel like we're seeing that in a lot of events right now.
Yeah.
The first thing I would do is analyze who you've lost and if you want to actually keep them.
Mm-hmm.
True story.
I believe in the ABC, A clients, B clients, C clients, and always be replacing C clients, because that's how you as a business grow and get better and work with clients that find value in you and things like that. And you'll get to a point where they're all A's and B's, right? And it's turning and part of delivering value and growth. And as Amani said, really niching down on what you do well is knowing when to say no as well, or when to stop working with somebody. Just because you've had a relationship with an organization for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, if it's a detriment to you or your beliefs, or you're compromising on what you're doing, then at that point it's time to break up.
Yeah, I think that's probably the hardest thing to do is to say no, especially when you have a history with the client, but maybe now you're not only your pricing is kind of going out of their range, but then, what they are requiring is just not what you do anymore. That's probably the difficult part. Or when you look at an event, a program that you want to maybe bid on and get, but it's just, it would be nice to fill in this time period that you have very slow and saying like October, November, but you know that it's probably not the best fit. So, if you say no and kind of hope that something else will come and replace it, it might not replace it at the same exact date and time, but still you got to have faith. And that's one thing that I'm still learning because, you see these events like, oh, I want to work this, I want to do this, do that. But I know these two probably aren't the best fit, but I do know that this one, option A, is really good. So it's just trying to focus on that. That's probably the toughest part currently because there's a lot out there in a time period where maybe events are kind of ebbing and flowing. So it's just staying kind of true and having faith is what I would say.
I like that. I have an industry friend who said this to me a few years back. Everything on your Instagram does not necessarily have to show what you're working on. We understand that sometimes you have to take that C client to be able to fund A client as you get through. And he said, just don't put C client on your Instagram and public facing. He said, use it to
That's true.
leverage yourself, gain what you're looking to gain, and then replace them as you can continue to move.
Yeah.
I like
So,
that.
yeah, because I laugh. He is actually, that's Austin, the owner of AK Johnston. He'll make you laugh till the cows come home, but he has said it many times. He's like, do you think we always did events we were actually proud to do? And it's fair because how many events have we produced that are for the sake of doing so? It's only in the last few years that I've been able to make the decisions to say, well, actually, no, we're not going to take that client because it doesn't fit with our core values. I've started to add different questions into even our interview stage. Yes, they're interviewing to hire us, but if you have a poor corporate culture, which I will ask in those conversations, are you happy to work for the company you're working for? If you're not, there's no point in us coming in to support you to produce an event because you're going to be miserable to work with.
Yeah.
So, but not being afraid to say no is a big one, and then also not being afraid to say yes, I do need that client. Just won't promote it the same way, and we'll just move on from there. I'd like to point out that Joy on our team has said that event specialists must be the Bentley of production.
Okay. Bentleys are very nice rides there. Okay, Joy.
Joy is also mom. She is our customer success manager here at Event Specialists, and I so appreciate having her on the team. She is also our cheerleader, and I feel like her secret sauce is this sense of customer service for her years with Air Canada. I'm totally giving her whole resume here, but her years with Air Canada. But mom has graciously joined the team and challenges me every day from a standpoint of, well, did you ask for this or did you do this? And are you truly giving your best service? So I'm truly grateful for the secret sauce that came from Joy.
Awesome. Amazing. We
All
give a round of
right.
applause for Joy, but go ahead. I would play the sound effect, but
Let's
never
do
mind.
it. Let's do it. Round of applause for Joy. So, how can focusing on, let's see, what would you recommend actually to companies that have we'll say sales and marketing strategies, and they want to be able to leverage secret sauce in their sales and marketing strategies?
Don't make carbon copy robots. Like,
Ooh.
especially on a sales team, right?
I love it.
So this is the one thing I've learned, and I've worked in sales for large companies who have 50, 60 kind of reps representing their business all around the globe, and what they often do is try and have everybody by the same rule and barometer, right?
Mm.
And that's often why you get so broad strokes when it comes to performance or quality of work or sales revenue delivered, because everybody works slightly differently. I'm a talker, clearly. So put me on a Zoom call or in a meeting in front of a customer, and I'm in my element. I can get them to warm up. We can discuss. I'm interested in them, as like I said at the beginning. I genuinely have a genuine interest in them and their business, and I think people buy into that. But then, as we've developed in our team, I've got people that work for me that work in totally different ways and perform just as well. They just do things differently. But it would have been quite easy for me to go, no, you have to do it my way. Otherwise, it's not the right way. And I think that's where often people go wrong with sales and marketing strategy. Marketing, on the other hand, I think people often focus on what competition are doing and what others are doing and quickly jump around with their strategy. So it often changes quite rapidly because of outside influences rather than steering their own ship. But yeah, that's my 2 pence on that.
Yeah, to add, just embrace like the diversity of the people on your sales team. Let them be themselves. We love to buy from different types of people that look different, that talk different, that practice different things. Like, years past, they try to make your salespeople cookie cutter, which I don't want to speak about in terms of making robots, but no, no, no. Let people celebrate their individuality when they sell, because it's true. People buy from people they like. And they're not going to like to buy from people that are the same within each specific company. So if you allow people to be themselves and use that in the sales process, then I think that is how you can reverse the stagnation that could be occurring. And I think that goes to even allowing people to maybe work from home, which is a hot topic, but just that all those little things help to reverse stagnation and increase conversion. The smart companies have been doing it for a while. The companies that are trying to catch up to the smart companies have caught on and are trying to adopt it now. So that's how I would say to kind of reverse and increase your conversion.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. I feel like we often get, again, the fearfulness of having it stray too much. I know I'm challenged with it as well. I want our events to be produced to a caliber that I would be proud to put my name on. I mean, an event specialist event, in my opinion, truly represents the client, but it also still represents something that is fun, innovative, and relevant. And I say relevant because I don't like to do events that are there for the sake of doing so. We actually do a large number of medical conferences. And I also feel like there's a special place in my heart for medical conferences because they embraced technology long before the pandemic. We were doing so many cool things when it came to medical education that I felt like should have been adopted across the board. Like medical events that are educational in purpose don't happen unless they have defined objectives and defined transformation.
Hmm.
So that's my take on that. I have to
All
laugh
right.
on the comment in the chat. It says that we agree with Adam. The secret sauce becomes ordinary table salt if we become cookie cutter. So we want
Yes.
to avoid the ordinary table salt. That is an awesome
Nobody
quote.
wants to season their food just with salt, right?
No.
I like
It's like
that.
preach to Roseanne. Preach.
Oh my. So how would you change your sales and marketing strategies if you notice that we're becoming a little stagnant and too table salty?
Hmm.
I mean, that's a hard one sometimes when it comes to I've seen companies completely overhaul sales teams because they felt like it became too redundant and we weren't listening to the customers and we weren't listening to their audience.
Yeah, maybe focus on sharing more stories, because that's the old famous saying is facts tell, stories sell. So if you focus on sharing more stories, that'll help your clients relate to it more. It makes it easier to sell, because when you're telling a story, it's just coming from within. You're not reading a list of benefits or features. So I think you kind of take it back to the basics of just telling stories, how you maybe help clients, how it's helped you, and then using that to maybe get closer to potential clients.
I would add to that if you're at the point where you're overhauling something in its entirety, you've not let it evolve over time to really support your customers or what the feedback is coming back from the team. Amazon don't overhaul their sales process. They kind of keep the same flow because it works, right? So if sales are working, you don't need to overhaul. But I think that's a stagnation of a non-evolution of that at a point where it's not working anymore because you've stuck to your guns and we have to do it this way because we've always done it this way and we know best and the customer doesn't know best. And my example of that is something like I'll draw from Event Tech Live. We have customers who want to do big builds and do big things and really impress clients. But then we have companies on the other end that are just getting started out, and we need to support them, and they see value in different things. So our sales approach is different to them, and our offering is different to them. Not only on cost, but on what's included in our deliverables and what we're offering. So our sales process evolved over the course of our business, but there are some fundamental cores that kind of continue and stay, and I think that's also good. Like, if you know something works consistently, don't overhaul that. Like, why would you do that?
I like that. One thing that I also find too is this chasing of market trends or wanting to be ahead of the next market trend. Any advice or recommendations you would have to help us stay in our lane or adopt kind of our brand, I guess, brand advantage in a space where we're always asked to innovate and become the next market trend?
Yeah. So this one is interesting. Like, say a trend now is just the explosion of TikTok. It's here. It's very popular. Everyone's like, well, are you on TikTok? Are you doing this? And for some of us, that's a really, really hard platform to be able to adopt to, be able to be successful doing it. So that's one where, you might not be on the front end of chasing that trend. You can still research it, see what's going on, try it out. But that's a trend where I would say, okay, you might not need to rush out to do it. However, there could be other trends where it makes absolute sense. So, for example, if you notice that, well, I love to use live streaming as an example, that, by the fact that you're doing live streaming, that's allowing you to network with people all over the world. It's also allowing you to increase your customer base very quickly all over the world. Well, that's a trend that you should jump on right away. So I like to use those two examples as a way of some trends that might not make the best sense, but gets a lot of media press. Everyone's talking about TikTok. And another one, like live streaming, where it's probably a little bit less publicized, but it makes absolute sense for you to go for and to do it. And so it's just being able to see the difference and be able to understand how it can benefit your company and be able to go for it. And I think that's when I hear trends, that's what comes to mind right away.
I hear metaverse, and I'm sure Adam gets called all the time. Why are we doing an event on the metaverse? Why is Event Tech Live on the metaverse? But
That's a good one too.
throwing that out there.
Trends are a double-edged sword. I think it's very good, both from a business level and an individual level, to always have an eye on what's coming. But that often puts on to try and incorporate those trends into event design or onto our attendees is often, I think, way before people are actually ready for it. Yes, we get asked, why aren't you doing an event in the metaverse? Why aren't you doing a VR experience at Event Tech Live? Well, because most people don't have VR headsets at this moment in time. Why aren't we doing AR? Because most people don't have AR in their hand or understand how to use it. So it's too early. Yes, it will come at some point, and it's good to have those trends in sight. But I'll tell you an anecdotal thing. I spoke to an event technology company today, and they are still talking to people who want to do full-blown virtual events, and they've never actually deployed an event app on their event. Now, that for me is leaping. That's kind of catching up with what is trends, and it's good to see that there's an interest in technology in there. But I think the adoption of technology, especially on tech trends, should come in stages and build a foundation of understanding with things that are low risk and quite easy to do and kind of iterate on year or event on event before you go straight into the metaverse. I mean, let's face it, Zuckerberg and all his billions still doesn't know how to get it right. And if all those talented people and all those amazing minds and investors and users and things like that, and they're still struggling with it. They're betting big on it, but it's so way off. So I think often trends can be a distraction. I think that's what kind of Amani was saying as well. Like,
I love that. I feel like the apps, if we look at it, like 10 years ago, the panic was we can't have an event app because we can't have people look down at their phones in the event. Like, that's just going to take away from everything that's happening. We say we wanted to put slides do second screen technology, and now we're like, oh my gosh, we can't do this. And then it was, we can't do the mapping of a show floor. You're taking away people's privacies and all of the above. And why are we tracking our attendees to understand where they're walking in the show? All of these things were trends that I feel like we always had the naysayers. I mean, it's very fair to say, but if we look at adoption and adopt things in time, I always say start small, start with what you do well and kind of grow from there. When it came to hybrid, very easy. Everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, we have to go hybrid. We have to stream every session of every room." I've never taught hybrid that way. It has always been, if you want to go hybrid, which I know now is, a bad word, but if you want to go hybrid, true marriage of in-person and online, a true hybrid experience where everyone has the same customer journey, then I recommend you start with what you know and what your audience can take, and then follow the trends. Like, let's be realistic. Not every trend is for everyone. We look at my favorite example, I think I've said it on every episode, and I probably say it on every show, is bingo. I love to play bingo, full disclosure. However, why do we all of a sudden have bingo on every virtual event experience? Why do we have bingo on, like, it is not for everyone. But yet that was the trend. If we think of the comfy seats, I remember that becoming a big trend too. Let's take it back there. Where beanbag chairs were everywhere. They still pop up. But if you remember, everyone had a beanbag chair lounge for a while. You know how hard it is to get up out of a beanbag chair when you're teaching something?
It's
Or
not
when
so
you're
quick.
trying to be professional in a setting. But yet that was the trend. We felt like we should adopt this trend, but not everything is for everyone. So
Yeah.
I feel like whatever works for you and slowly adopt. I mean, TikTok is banned in my house and now it's here. So all of a sudden I'm trying to decide if we want to use it for business,
Oh,
but it was banned for years here in my
yeah.
household from a family perspective.
Hmm.
So we have to take it all in stride.
We do.
Exactly. Yeah. Well said.
So in an ever-changing market such as ours, the lovely event industry, how can we stay true to our product or brand while still adapting to our clients' needs?
I
That's a
think
heavy question.
that's a very heavy question. I think that as our clients' needs evolve, we can definitely determine whether it fits within what we're capable of doing, what we want to do, and what makes sense for us as a business. Or we might have to collaborate with someone else who is a better fit. But I think that as things are changing, there's always going to be the basics. I'm thinking about, from my perspective, music, events, game shows. And then there are things that come up and say, you know what, we can do that and we can do that well. So we can add that to our offerings. There are other things that come up. We might not be able to do that very well. So that might be a time we might have to either bring in someone to collaborate with us or refer that group somewhere else. Karaoke, just how you say things are hot right now. Karaoke is pretty hot right now. I don't really do karaoke, but I have a colleague that does it that we can bring in. That's just a quick, small example of something that, maybe our clients' needs are changing because you can do it outside. It's a little safer. People are singing. Like, okay, we can do that. But there are other things where, oh no, we can do that. So I think it's just determining what makes sense and then find a collaborator for what doesn't make sense.
I like
Yeah.
that.
I think he's hit the nail on the head there. And I think within our industry, within our roles, because we're all smaller niche
Mhm.
businesses, we work very closely with clients. We often do a consultative role way, way before the contract gets signed, right? And I think that consultative role is often a missed opportunity to actually analyze and discuss with a client what they need, or is it what they want?
Mhm.
There's two different things. Like, your company has told you you need to have an event on around this time, around this date, for this many people. That's a need. To want to fly drones through the session, that's a want. Right? You don't need that. Like, and I think that's often where, to protect ourselves and our integrity and what we believe in our secret sauce, that's a missed opportunity, because we want to so eagerly please and wow and amaze our customers and clients that we often oversell it, and underdeliver. And I think it's better to undersell and overdeliver more often than not.
Mhm.
So I think that's one thing we need to be careful of. It's just analyzing with a customer on a practical basis, what is it they want and what is it they need, and do the two mix together, or do we actually need to leave those ones to a side for a little bit for the success of the event?
Love that. Now, before we wrap up for the day, I want to truly thank you both for your time. I loved having this conversation. I feel like we could talk about it for days to come, and I'm sure Adam will get the random text messages from me with these other questions that will come up. But anything that you want to add before we wrap up for today?
I'll just say props to you for embracing live streaming, doing a live event. I think that's the future. So I'm very happy that you've jumped in. Great job with all the tech and everything. Thank you for including me. It's been my pleasure to be on your show. You're doing great work, so keep it up. And yeah, just thank you very much.
And where can we find you online, Amani? We'll make sure we put
Online,
that
all the
underneath.
socials. Yeah, you can put that underneath like Amani Roberts on LinkedIn and then at Amani Experience on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all the Facebook, all those platforms, and twitch.tv/Amani Experience is where you can find me doing all the live streams 4 days a week. And just engage with me and I'll write you back and love to meet new people.
Love it. What about you, Adam? Where can we find you online?
You can find me online, Adam Parry on LinkedIn, Punchtown Parry on most of the social media platforms. And my last thought on it is 99% of success is kind of 3 C's: consistency, collaboration, and what's the other C? I forgot it. Showing up. I had it in the. It's gone, and I'm not gonna sit here and jitter. But yeah, I think you've got to show up, be consistent, collaborate with others, and show up.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Adam and Amani, for joining us today and for sharing all of your lovely insights. We're truly grateful to have you as collaborators and partners here at Event Specialists. I'm Mahogany Jones, your host. I look forward to hosting episode 5 next month, where we dive in to hybrid sponsorship models and how to guarantee a win. Look at Adam's face. And how to guarantee a win-win model for both. Sponsorship should not be one-sided. So we're going to dive into
Yes.
that conversation.
All
Thanks,
right.
everyone.
Welcome.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Thank you.